youngest champion.
The man is incredible.
Evan Smith. Photo finish.
This is ABC Sports.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
A 500-mile journey to victory begins with the first lap, as important as the last. A 54-hole journey begins with the first hole, as important as the last. A good early start has the field chasing you, but even an early leader on a roll must be aware of the turns that lie ahead. If you're back in the pack, you'll need to move up through the field. Finding the right line can put you in the passing lane. But even the most experienced will be slowed at times during the race, and there are hazards you must avoid. On the track, your help is the crew. On the course, it's just the caddy and you. But more teamwork can help the equipment work. You see, in golf, as in racing, it's an attitude, going for the flag. At the Brickyard, in both sports, saving your best for last, it can bring you to a place all champions crave. The world's most famous race course is also home to a golf course. Today's objective, conquer not Indy's 500 miles, but its 18 holes, and join those who in the last 8 decades have won trophies at the Brickyard.
ABC Sports presents the Senior PGA Tour. From Indianapolis, Indiana, it's final round coverage of the Comfort Classic.
One of those days that you just wish you could play 36. We're about 6 miles west-northwest of downtown Indianapolis. Very familiar address, West 16th Street, which houses the most famous 2.5 miles in all of sports, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. For 70 years, a golf course has been incorporated within this facility. As you look back in from turn 4, the backstretch frames 4 holes that are inside the racetrack. The Brickyard Crossing Golf Club. Pete Dye redesigned this course 4 years ago and put his unique architectural fingerprint on this layout. Who's in contention this year at the Comfort Classic for 1997? Well, for one, David Graham, very hot early in the year, 7th on the money list, looking for his 3rd win of the season. Then there's Bud Allen, who won in February, looking for his 2nd win in 95 Senior Tour events. Raymond Floyd hasn't won in 14 months. Says he has the commitment back. Then there's Larry Nelson, who today could equal a record. The youngest winner in the history of the Senior PGA Tour. Those are the storylines we'll be following through our final round. 3 hours of coverage, and Bud Allen has jumped down to a quick start. Birdies on 4 of the first 6 holes. He leads Larry Nelson and Ray Floyd by a stroke, with David Graham 2 strokes off the pace. Gil Morgan 2nd on the Senior Tour in money earned for 97. He's 7 back. Hale Irwin has struggled through this tournament, and he's at 4 under par right now. This is Mike Tirico along with Peter Alice, Steve Melnick, and Roger Twibel. Judy Rankin and Bob Rossberger with the last 2 groups on the golf course, and we'll bring in Frank Hannigan if we have a question about the rules of golf. We pick up our play inside the track at number 7, and here's Roger.
Mike, thank you. 7th hole, 172-yard par 3, and this has turned into a most difficult hole. This green sits up on top of a small hill as Bud Allen gets set for his 2nd shot here at the par 3.
He got a great break. Ball did not go down the hill. As Roger mentioned, this green is a dynamite green to try and read.
Well, this has become the 2nd most difficult hole here as we go to the 8th hole.
David Graham set to play his 2nd.
Ball well below his feet there at the right side of the fairway, 145 yards. Boy, this is flirting with it.
Scary. Oh. That's a mistake you wouldn't think a player of his caliber would make. There's plenty of room out to the right. There's only one place you don't want to hit it. Ball hanging below his feet, as Judy said, and David did the unpardonable here. Back to 7.
And Raymond Floyd with this for birdie, and Rossi coming off an eagle at number 6.
Yeah, he holed about a 50-footer at 6 for an eagle. This putt, I saw David Graham putt it a little earlier, and he missed it badly to the right, so it must be a very hard putt to read.
to get a share of the lead at 13 under par. And we go to 8.
Gil Morgan, second shot.
Playing a little knockdown low shot from just 130 yards.
Yeah.
Wow, that's terrific. Gil off very slowly today, though. 1 over par on his round. Man who's second on the money list, chasing Hale Irwin, to go back to 7.
As we look down at this par 3, very, very difficult hole location today. Larry Nelson 1 shot back of our leader, Bud Allen, as he surveys this putt.
Buddy's made a lot of them today, gotten off to a great start.
He was 3rd here a year ago, Rossi, and won for the first time on the senior tour earlier this year at the American Express International. 4 under on his round so far today. And that just jumped off the putter to the right as soon as he hit it. So Allen's going to tap in for a bogey. That'll drop him back to 12 under. And Bud Allen in his 3rd full year on the senior tour. And this 7th hole showing you why it is so difficult, as Raymond Floyd now has this putt for par to remain at 12 under. And straight in for Raymond. Floyd, who hasn't won since the Senior Players Championship a year ago, July. And Larry Nelson in just his 2nd senior tour start with his putt for par as he tapped in. So after the bogey by Bud Allen, we have three players, excuse me, sharing the lead as we go up to 8.
Well, the 8th hole is a 420-yard par 4, water to the left. If you bring it in from right to left, it's the favored shape shot as we look up ahead to the 8th green. David Graham has taken relief. That is a lateral hazard, Judy. Pretty nice drop.
Yes, pretty nice drop. The ball landed very softly, and I believe it's going to allow him to putt. You know, that was the rare occasion with the ball way below your feet where the ball doesn't swing from left to right, but you hit a big pull.
So David Graham, who many thought this may be a perfect opportunity for him to make a move early, picked up 2 quick birdies at 2 and 3 and just sort of hung on. And now he has this long par-saving putt here at the difficult 8th.
You know, in fact, the early birdies were not so much a result of his putter as a result of very, very good iron shots. Hit it within 3 and 4 feet of the hole.
Well, when he was playing his best on the regular tour, he was a superb iron player. Now back on the tee, Raymond Floyd. Rossi, looks like a 3-wood.
I would think it's a 3-wood today. The wind is not blowing very hard. This was the hardest hole in the course yesterday.
Boy, looking left. Ooh, I'm not sure that's where he wanted to hit it, but it's perfect now. Breathe a little bit, Raymond. And now up ahead, David Graham up and over the ridge, down the hill, attempt for par. So with the bogey, Graham will move back to 10 under and back on the tee. Oh, and he's playing well. This could be the straightest driver in the game. Larry Nelson worked out heavily in anticipation of coming on the tour, hired a trainer. He's probably in the best shape of his life. And Larry Nelson is going to be a force to be reckoned with out here. Roger mentioned Bud's win at Sarasota, and surprisingly, he's only had 1 top 10 other than the 1 win. And Bud, always a good straight driver, put the ball in play here. And midway through this final round, it is Larry Nelson and Raymond Floyd along with Bud Allen tied at the top. Raymond Floyd a little dicey with his tee shot here at 8, thinking, oh, mama, I put it in play, but I wasn't trying to go left.
Hello, I'm Barry Smith, Senior Vice President for Choice Hotels. On behalf of the 1,400 Comfort Inns and Comfort Suite Hotel franchisees, I welcome you to the 1997 Comfort Classic. It's the only senior PGA Tour stop in Indiana. Today, we've assembled the finest players in senior golf for your viewing pleasure. Comfort Inns are proud to be a part of this tournament and its contribution to charity.
The Comfort Inn Classic. This ABC Sports exclusive brought to you by the more than 1,700 Comfort Inns and Suites worldwide. Dr. Pepper and your local Dr. Pepper bottler. Dr. Pepper, this is the taste. And Audi, and the daring all-new A6 coming this November.
Larry Nelson, good tee shot, now his second at the 8th.
150 yards, flag stick on the left, wind coming out of the right, bringing the water into play.
Be right. Be right. Get up there.
Well, Larry birdied this hole yesterday, as Rossi said, playing much more difficult yesterday. Larry hit a 5-iron in here for his second shot. Bud Allen next, Rossi?
Yeah, he's next, 147 yards from Buddy. Actually, Raymond, you think maybe that the angle from the right would be better, but I believe the angle from where Raymond is going to play is a lot better because he can shoot it a little away from the water.
In the early 70s, Bud was quite a player on tour, won 5 times on the regular tour. Left the game, became a club pro, did a lot of teaching. Sometimes you understand your golf game better when you teach others. Good shot. And now Raymond.
Raymond has 145 yards. I would think it'd just be a little 8-iron. I don't think he'll try and go after a 9 real hard with the trouble on the left.
Unusual, but now very commonplace finish of Raymond. Not the result he might have liked. As Rossi said, he was in the best position from which to go at the flag stick, but it's been an Raymond Floyd-like year. In fact, 97 has been something of a disappointment. He played wonderfully in 96, but the real telling stat is the third one, scoring average. Almost more than a shot more in 97 than in 96. Just a combination of a lot of things. Hasn't driven the ball very well, hasn't hit as many greens, and clearly not making as many putts for birdies. And let's go to our guys at 18. Michael?
Okay, Steve, Raymond Floyd tied for the lead with Larry Nelson and Bud Allen. And Raymond, in here yesterday, told us about his commitment to the game. After taking 6 weeks off, a summer vacation, he's come back and found that he really missed playing golf, and he says he's committed again to the game. Can that little breakaway kind of clear the cobwebs a bit for you?
Well, I think so, yes. It's very hard to keep doing the same thing all the time if you're expecting a sort of personal sort of gifts to sort of work all the time. It's not like working a machine in a factory. You have the mental thoughts, you have your physical condition, you have the rub of the green, the luck of the bounce and all that. And I think you can get a little bit stale on occasion. And he's moved house and he's building a new house and he's got children growing up and moving into the world of professional golf and all, 1,000,001 things. And you know he's over 50.
All these guys are, as a matter of fact.
Are they?
Yes. Hey, what do you make of this place? There's a nice little side story here with 4 holes that we are seeing now inside of the world's most famous racetrack. But the golf course itself, what do you think of the design of this golf course?
I think it's very good indeed. I came here many years ago. I've been here twice before. The last time I was here when Hollis Stacey won the Women's Open Championship, and we came and had a look, and it was very different then. The course has been 4 years open. I think Pete Dye has done an unusual job here of creating something, and really, you know, I'm sure some people don't like this and don't like that. It's rather like painting or meals, you know, some people like this, some people like that. I think he's created something very good indeed, very interesting, plus the fact it's in superb condition, and the fact that it's in this extraordinary setting with the great Indianapolis track just behind. Everything is in very pristine order. The track is there to see, and you can think of 500,000 people watching. It really is quite unique and splendid and very interesting.
And there's risk-reward on the back nine that we'll see throughout the day. Now let's go back to number 8. Steve?
As we move down to the very picturesque 8th hole, it will be Raymond Floyd from the front of green for his birdie opportunity.
I'd say it's about 25 feet, and it should go to his left.
Raymond, in his prime, was a surprisingly good putter from this distance. Stands very tall to the ball, is a very long-shafted putter. He has very short arms, so the shaft more an accommodation to his arm length than his stance. Got to reach. Boy, right in the heart if he hits it. Well, earlier today we picked up with Raymond on the practice tee, and we asked him some very interesting questions, and you might like his responses.
This has not been a vintage Raymond Floyd year. Is motivation a problem now at this point in your career?
Maybe that and commitment. Not knowing really if I really, in fact, wanted to play or play as much. Just went through a period, and after 36 years, I think in defense that happens. I've had it happen more than once in my career, but I took 6 weeks off this summer and played a lot of golf with my friends and was outside the competitive side of it and realized that I really enjoy what I'm doing, and I love the game of golf, and when I play, I'd like to be competitive, and I think that's a commitment.
So you're not ready to retire yet?
I'm ready to play a little bit.
Well, as Larry Nelson two-putted for his par here, you got the sense in talking to Raymond, looking in Raymond's eyes, that he doesn't like to play poorly. Now, Raymond's a guy who's got a little swagger, a little arrogance to his game, but he can back it up. And I think Raymond's tired of playing lousy golf. As we move back to the action now, and it is Bud Allen.
Coming straight down the hill. Actually, not a hard putt.
Good call, Rossi. So the bogey at 7, backed up by the birdie at 8. Bud Allen moves back to 13 under, and our leader by 1. Throughout his career, Bud Allen never had a lot of self-confidence. He seemed to win in spite of his lack of confidence on the golf course. Let's go to 9.
David Graham at the 9th. This interesting shortish par 4, 375 yards.
He hit a very big drive, Peter. As you can see here, just 15, 16 yards short of the putting surface. Breeze at the player's back here at 9 today, and it is just a breeze today, whereas the first 2 days were played in pretty serious wind.
Extraordinary amount of bunkers on this hole, which certainly from the high camera and the blimp make the hole look very intriguing indeed. Just look at what looked like sort of dozens of poached eggs lying there all along the either side of the fairway. Not a long hole, and so keeping out of the sand is important. Graham here now is his little pitch up.
Going to play this pitch with a sand wedge, 25 paces of green to negotiate. Kind of a steep rise right at the beginning of the green, and then it flattens out all the way to the hole.
Flipped it up over the top, just not accelerating down the hill. It's not bad, 8 out of 10. Tricky one, lots of mounds on that 9th green. Always difficult to get it close. But Allen leads the way, just by 1 though. Lots to come. Ray Floyd, tee shot at the 9th.
Safe play is out here to the left and leave yourself a little pitch. A lot of options here.
"26 bunkers wait your pleasure." Oh. Well, it may not be too bad in there. Depends what it finds over those little humps and bumps. Might well have missed everything. Larry Nelson next to play. Sparkling rounder from J.C. Sneed, a 63. Went out early this morning just after 9 o'clock and had a long putt on the last for a 62. Fine round from him. There's all those bunkers away on the right. We're drifting back to the left to find Larry Nelson on the tee. And that's skipping over the corner, maybe okay. Just a very small pitch to the green, but huge undulations. David Graham. He gives it a little familiar tap and gets the line right. That must have been a huge drive of his, virtually up to the edge of the green. A pitch and a putt for David Graham. Another nice birdie, goes to 11 and just a couple behind.
Well, David Graham, who was involved last week in a final group battle with Hale Irwin and Gil Morgan. Not in the final group, but in contention here this week at the Comfort Classic. Tom Wargo 4 under thus far on today's round. Well, college football next Saturday on ABC Sports. Starting at noon Eastern, except on the West Coast, you'll see one of these regional games. Ohio State taking on Missouri. Good one in the ACC between Virginia and North Carolina. And Texas tries to bounce back from the UCLA disaster a few weeks ago. They take on Rice. Then everyone at 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific, will see Notre Dame 1 and 2 taking on undefeated Michigan. And then only on the West Coast, Cal, after their wild victory over Oklahoma yesterday, takes on Southern California. Check your local listings for the games in your area. College football next Saturday on ABC. Doubleheader. To the tee at 13.
Graham Marsh at the 13th. Marsh 4 under today. 8 under in all. Seven iron. And that's okay. Yes, a reasonable putt. We'll return with more final round coverage of the Comfort Classic after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Floyd's second shot at the 9th.
Badly mishit tee shot. Leaves him 155 yards on this very short hole.
You see on the upslope, dug at it, took an iron, as Bob was saying, played a poor shot off the tee, and he hasn't even reached in 2. Probably chip it in now for a 3. To the 13th, the par 3, Graham Marsh, putting for a 2, and it's drifting right. Safe 3. Marsh will stay at 8 under as we go to 10.
First look at this 308-yard par 4. David Graham is 2 off the lead. There are 4 par 4s on the back 9. 2 of them are over 415 yards. The other 2, number 10 and then number 14, they are under 311 yards. 1 311 and 1 308.
Bunker that runs down the left side of this fairway is about 160 yards long. Helping breeze from the players left.
He's so nearly. Well, I think it would have gone too far. It have missed the corner. It just caught the angle, Judy, no more than about 12, 14 steps from the hole, and he's gone down in the sand. Not all that far from the hole. It was a big shot. Eddie Allen now, his second to the ninth.
109 yards, but out of the rough. Cannot spin it.
Easy. Easy. Oh.
Typical shot from the rough. Just running through. Back to the 10th.
And Gil Morgan on the tee.
He did make the birdie putt back at 8 to return to even par for the day.
6 off the lead, and he too has found that 150-yard plus bunker. Most tee shots we've seen today have ended up in that location. Raymond Floyd made an eagle here yesterday. Let's go back to 9.
Now, Ray Floyd's second shot from the rough has come up short of the green. Now he's going to play his third. Little chip and run. Raymond, over the years, has been a wonderful chipper of the ball. Arnold Palmer was in the same mould. Not a great pitcher, Arnold, but a superb little chipper with an 8 or a 9 iron. These sort of shots round and about the green. And you'll notice how wristy that break of the wrist on the taking the club back looks to be standing very close to the ball. Little risky sort of bump at the ball. Down she comes. If it's hard enough, that could be very close. Hey, that's very well judged. A little stabby stroke, but he understands it. Got the timing right, but a bit of a struggle on this short hole to secure his par 4. To the 10.
And Bob Murphy on the tee.
Well, this one started a little wider to the right.
So I saw it down straight.
It'll be interesting to see how Murphy plays from the fairway as opposed to the other 2 players who are closer, but in the hazard. Back to 9.
Bud Allen now having come out of the rough and gone through the green. Little chip and run. How's it, Bob? Not bad?
Well, it's not a real hard shot, but this is a characteristic of Pete Dye golf courses. When you miss the green, the ball runs off quite a ways, and there isn't a whole lot of nice turf to get the club underneath the ball. So most of the time you have to run these shots, either with a putter or bounce them into the bank.
That's beautifully played. A little crisp shot. How about that? That's pretty neat and tidy, isn't it? Well, that's why he's leading, albeit only by 1 from Nelson and Floyd. David Graham lurking at 11. Now, look at that for an array of bunkers, eh? Extraordinary. Still, it keeps bunker rakers in employment. Looks pretty flat from here, but I tell you, that green has loads of humps and bumps and slopes on it.
All 3 of these fellows have made this hole pretty hard, Peter.
Yeah.
This really doesn't look like that hard a hole if you just take an iron and go out the left and play a little pitch, but, you know, you miss the fairway and you have your problems.
Yeah. Larry Nelson, little chip shot for a birdie 3. In fact, putted it.
Let him in. Let him in.
Right to the hole side. Now here's Chi-Chi at the 13th with his little dinky putter. And he struck it. Hit the back and spun out. He's still one of the most wonderful shot makers. The body language is enormous, but Chi-Chi always great fun to watch. So many of these players are. To the 9th, and Raymond, this for a par 4.
Good work, Ray.
always, in my memory, used a long shafted putter, stood with his feet together. Big man, on over 6 foot tall. Just plays it like a sort of long chip with a sort of 4 or 5 iron. To the 10th.
Bob Murphy second.
That's from 65 yards. He caught a good spot right on top of the hill.
Well, Pete Dye said about this hole, the pitch shot will equalize the long and short hitter. Back to 9.
Buddy Allen taps in, so all 3 players get their pars at this hole. I think many of them would be hoping to get a birdie. Just something off the tee and a pitch and a putt, but such are the subtleties of so many of Pete Dye's designs that it ain't as easy as that. To the 10th.
Where Gil Morgan surveying his second.
This is a somewhat difficult bunker shot, almost 40 yards back to the hole. Ball lands on a downslope anywhere 10, 15 feet short of the hole, so pretty difficult to stop it unless you've put a whole lot of spin on it.
You get a look at Gil Morgan, who may have to share that first line as youngest winner in senior PGA Tour history with Larry Nelson. If Nelson, who's currently 1 back, can win today, he is exactly 50 years and 11 days old as of this afternoon. Double digits under par in the U.S. Open back at Pebble Beach. Now David Graham second. A little closer, Judy.
Much closer, and I would expect him to get this close.
We mentioned David had a great early start to the season. He was the Senior Tour Player of the Month in both February and March. Slumped a little bit during the summer, but 3 consecutive top 10s. He's a couple back. As we look at the top of the leaderboard, Raymond Floyd is just a stroke back. He has eagled a couple of holes this week, including number 10 where he's going right now. Larry Nelson trying to make a little history, and Bud Allen looking for his second victory of the year. Those are the top 3 as we continue from the Comfort Classic.
This is Jim Dent at the 11th hole, 420-yard par 4. Dent currently at 10 under for the tournament, 4 under on his round today. This has been the most difficult hole all week here in Indianapolis at this Brickyard crossing. And as the wind has calmed down today, it's become a little bit easier. Only 12 birdies the first 2 days, already 7 so far today as we go to 10.
David Graham to get within 1 of the lead. David Graham to 12 under par, 1 behind our leader Bud Allen. He's now tied with Nelson and Floyd at 12 under. Jim Dent could move a bit closer. He can make the putt at number 11. Peter pointed out earlier the 63 by J.C. Snead. That is a tournament course record. Dave Eichelberger in '94 and Bruce Summerhays a few years ago carding 64s in tournament play. Back to the tee at number 10. Raymond Floyd waited for the green to clear.
Well, we'll see.
And you see that run to the right and off the fairway. Floyd waited for the green to clear. Both Bob Murphy and Gil Morgan made their pars up on the green at 10, so Morgan remains at 7 under and Murphy at 8 under. Rossi, Bud Allen hit, and then Floyd and Nelson waited for the green to clear. Obviously, Raymond, in order of play, played next, so he was the one who was making the decision to wait.
That's right. He waited quite a while, too. Allen laid up as soon as he got to the tee. He laid up at maybe 80, 90 yards short of the green.
2 birdies today from Larry Nelson, who you will hear from a little bit later on in our broadcast, about life on the senior tour. This is his 2nd event on the senior tour. Well, that a bit farther back in that long bunker than we've seen most of the players who have attempted that route to the green. Tomorrow night, ABC's Monday Night Football. The Pittsburgh Steelers take on the Jacksonville Jaguars. It will be a tremendous atmosphere in Jacksonville. First time they've hosted a Monday Night Football game. Can Cordell Stewart get it going? Steelers are sluggish on offense through their first 2. Monday Night Football, live at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific, here on ABC. 2-11.
David Graham, his tee shot at this difficult par 4, the longest here at the Brickyard Crossing. As we go ahead to the green at 11, and Jim Dent, you saw that second shot played in for birdie, and it just slides by. So Jim Dent will have to settle for his par and remain at 10 under as we go back to the tee and David Graham.
Hole turns back to the left out in the driving area.
And he has just caught the first cut of rough right there. So we're in the final round of the Comfort Classic. Bud Allen has a 1-shot lead.
Welcome back to Indianapolis. 1 off the lead. Here's Larry Nelson's 2nd at the 10th.
Really a hard shot. Terrible angle. 60-yard bunker shot. That's a good smart play there.
The length of that bunker makes this hole quite interesting. You see our final group of the day right at the top of the leaderboard with Allen leading by 1 over Nelson and Floyd. Now Bud Allen.
Buddy has a shot of about 70 yards. Flag stick is really in a hard place here.
If you remember, Allen did not wait for the green to clear. Played it out into the fairway and a little safer off the tee at the short par 4. View from above from the MetLife blimp Snoopy 1 under the command of Captains Russ Adams and Charlie Graham. We thank you, gentlemen, as we tell you how proud Snoopy is celebrating his 10th anniversary along with the gentleman piloting the MetLife blimp. Back down to 10. Here's Raymond Floyd 2nd.
He has a horrendous lie. I don't think he can get this ball close.
No chance of stopping it there, huh?
Absolutely none.
Well, on the other side of the tracks, so to speak, over to number 11. Roger.
All right, Mike. 2nd shot for Gil Morgan.
Somewhat fortunate from the tee. The ball bounced off of a young woman there in the right rough, kept it from going over the hill. A little bit better than 160 yards now out of the rough. Right to left breeze, but a very accessible hole today.
Stand still. Hold still.
Gil warning some of the fans in front, just asking them to stay still.
Some of them are very trusting souls, I might say.
I agree with you on that, Judy.
And it sounded pretty heavy.
And it's just going to trickle up short of the front of the green. Actually, that's a rather good hole location today. The first couple of days, that flagstick has been cut back and right behind that bunker. And with the wind and such, it's been really inaccessible. As we go back to 10.
And Raymond Floyd, very long birdie putt. yesterday. What looks to be a par today. 211.
Second shot for Bob Murphy.
Just a nice 7-iron.
And that's rolled into one of those collection areas behind the green. So Murphy with 3 birdies and a bogey on his round today. And there you see the 65 U.S. Amateur Champion, the NCAA champ the next year, and then the Senior PGA Tour Rookie of the Year. Murphy has won $1 million in back-to-back years, but this year 19th on the list, around $520,000 as we go to the 10th hole.
Larry Nelson for birdie. After an opening round 69, Nelson shot 65 yesterday and credited more birdies to adjusting his hand position on his putter. He has a par putt ahead. We'll move to 11.
And the second shot for David Graham.
Well, he's in the first cut of rough, but really has a very good lie. It's not a problem at all. 120 yards, just a comfortable pitching wedge.
Judy, it's really amazing the change in conditions we've had here in 3 days, isn't it?
Well, this is a truly lovely day to play. I mean, the temperature's pleasant. The breeze is just enough to kind of define your shots for you.
Wind was a factor the first 2 days out of totally different directions.
Well, the remark was about the ball being just slightly above his feet and caused him to pull it.
Well, nobody in this group found the green at 11. It's been the most difficult hole through the 3 rounds of this Comfort Classic. And all 3 of these players with their work cut out to make par. You should take a look at the grandstand there on the backstretch as we go back to 10.
Bud Allen missed his birdie putt, so 3 par putts ahead here on number 10. First, Larry Nelson.
Leaders have really butchered these last 2 holes. Had a chance to draw clear of the field.
Kept Graham and Dent in it. Nelson stays 1 back, ahead to 12.
Well, Jim Dent's hit a huge tee shot, but then this is going well left. Jimmy had just a long iron to the green, and that is up in the gallery, wide of the mark.
Yes, we had a pretty easy pitch, but didn't pitch it anywhere near where we wanted to.
His nerves seem to be holding up pretty well, though.
He remains at 13 under par. We'll step aside for a moment and be back with more final round coverage of the Comfort Classic after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
The Comfort Inn Classic. This ABC Sports exclusive brought to you by Callaway Golf, makers of the Big Bertha Metal Woods and Big Bertha Irons. Audi and the daring all-new A6 coming this November. And the more than 1,700 Comfort Inns and Suites worldwide.
Well, we told you about the unique feature of the Comfort Classic here at the Brickyard Crossing Golf Club with 4 holes inside the 2.5-mile oval. You go under the backstretch in that tunnel, and our final group reappears where holes 1 through 6 and 11 through 18 are situated just on the exterior of the 2.5-mile oval. That backstretch that we normally see on the Sunday of Memorial Day weekend, and then in August for the Brickyard 400 NASCAR race. 5/8 of a mile long off turn 2. Get Paul Page in here to describe the action as the cars go around here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. You know, when this golf course was back here in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, they used to walk across this bridge, which went right over the track. Now, a little more high-tech, through the tunnel, onto the backstretch, and onto the final 8 holes. Back to 11, and here's Roger.
And Bud Allen, our leader, on the tee at this 425-yard par 4.
This is a beautiful hole, Roger. It really sets up well off the tee. Lake on the left.
And another drive right down the middle for Bud Allen. As we move to the green and the par putt for Bob Murphy. Remember, he missed the green with his second shot and catches the right edge with that. So Murphy with a bogey here at 11. So after the birdie at 10, Murphy now at 8 under. And just a moment ago, this was the third shot with a putter from off the green for David Graham.
Well, even though it was off the green, it was one of the straighter 30-footers he would have seen all week.
Good effort there. He is really driving the golf ball today, isn't he, Judy?
I tell you, I'm very, very impressed with how long he's hitting it.
As we look back down. Now, one thing about the Indianapolis 500, it's part of the IRL circuit. So here at this golf course, as Graham putts for par, it's not golf carts, it's golf cars or IRL golf support vehicles, folks. So just keep that in mind if you ever come here and play. As Graham completes his par at the 11th, which is a good score at this, which has been the most difficult hole here, as we go up to 12.
Jim Dent hit sort of a weak pitch from behind the green, has his longish birdie putt. Well, that's an unorthodox way to make birdie here at this par 5. Dent moves to 11 under with that birdie. Every year, Jim just manages to finish in the top 31. He's made a lot of money out here in the last 5 years. Well, you see with Dent's birdie, moves to 11 under par, just 2 shots out of the lead. I think the real key back here will be the par 5s, how the leaders play the par 5 12th and the par 5 15th, a chance to really pick up some ground. So any player who makes par or bogey on either of those 2 par 5s is certainly going to lose some ground on the field. But the par 5 is the real key here as the players make their way to the clubhouse. Weather's been perfect. The golf course is in terrific shape. You never know by looking at it that it's been a very drought-like summer here in Indianapolis. Golf course superintendent's done a wonderful job in getting this course ready for the 78 players in the senior tour. It has been a real pleasure for us as well to stay in downtown Indianapolis. Let's go back to 11.
All right, Steve, Raymond Floyd.
Out of the right-hand rough from 180 yards, and that little tree, it looks like they've just planted those trees. They're very small, but he has to worry about it. It's about maybe 12, 15 yards in front of him. It's hard to curve the ball out of this rough. He does not have a very good lie.
So some errant tee shots here for Raymond on the last couple of holes.
Out of that lie, he cut a little heavy, got over the top of it, but it's in a spot where Raymond will not have the toughest of chips or long putt, whatever he wants to do with it. I guess it did get on the edge of the green.
Raymond with a birdie and the eagle so far today as we go to Bud Allen.
Buddy Allen from 177 yards, just at the end of an old divot, but the lie is good. Beautiful shot in there.
Yeah, nice play for Bud Allen. At 13 under par, our leader by 1. Final round of this Comfort Classic. And Larry Nelson.
165. Larry's going to play a little 6-iron. Breeze maybe 5 miles an hour right now in his face.
And that'll just trickle off the putting surface. So our final group, they've reached the 11th hole in the final round.
Now here's ABC Golf instruction on the short game with Bob Rosberg.
A great majority of the new golf courses today have very undulating greens, and a real good question came to us from America Online concerning how you read the breaks in greens. Remember one thing, almost everyone doesn't play enough break. You have to play twice as much break as you think there is. If you don't, you're going to hit a putt and miss it on the so-called amateur side. Don't be afraid to hit it way up the hill. The more you hit it up the hill, the more it'll break. Remember one other thing. When you play a lot of break, you have to hit the ball a little harder because you're hitting the ball into the hill.
To request golf instruction from ABC Sports, log on to America Online, keyword ABC Sports, and send in suggestions for golf tips you'd like to see.
Jim Dent, 2 strokes behind, now on the 13th tee. 165 yards, 8 up. And that's okay, but when the wind's the other way, this can be a very difficult par 3. There's water on the right, the creek goes on the right, and there's the Audi Special, or any professional who holds out would drive away with that splendid bit of machinery. But sadly, nobody's done it yet, and chances are running out. Back to the 11th.
And this is the 3rd shot for Larry Nelson. With the putter. And a good effort there by Larry. He'll have that left for his par. And a moment ago, if every player has a certain strength about their game, if you asked about Raymond Floyd's strength, Rossi, this would be it around the greens.
Yeah, he had the putter out first and then went to a very lofted club.
And Raymond will have that for his par as we go to 12.
David Graham's 2nd shot here on the par 5.
From the left-hand rough, has to keep the ball low initially. 216 yards. That's a 3-iron. Need it to try to play this shot toward the left front.
Well, he's found that front bunker, Judy, and it's not a particularly difficult shot from there, but it's a longish bunker shot as we go back to 11.
And this is the birdie putt for Bud Allen.
Easiest putt you can have on the screen.
This is to get him a 2-shot lead. So Bud Allen looking to win for the 2nd time this year with the birdie at the very difficult 11th hole, and he's now at 14 under and a 2-shot lead over Floyd and Nelson and Graham, and he is holding together awfully well, Bob.
This is a big putt for Raymond Floyd coming up right here. If he doesn't make this one and drops 3 behind, his work is really going to be cut out for him. He's been struggling the last 4 or 5 holes, but he's managed to make par on all of them.
Never had a chance on that one. So Floyd's going to bogey this 11th hole, and that'll drop him 3 back of our leader, Bud Allen. Par 5 12th is coming up next. This final group, Allen by 2 over Nelson and Graham. Raymond Floyd 3 back now. This is Larry Nelson for his par. An ever steady, unassuming, but a great golfing talent. 3 major championships, 3-time Ryder Cup team member, and he's going to be a force on this senior tour as we move ahead to 13.
Jim Dent for a birdie 2, and Dent at 11 under, 5 under today. Just going to nudge this little one in for a par 3. So Bradley Allen leads by 2. Still breezy today, and although the holes coming home are downwind and they're a little bit easier, while you view that, we'll slip across and have a little word with Mike Tirico.
Time now for this week's installment of our ABC Sports Golf Notebook, and just one topic today, Larry Nelson, the man who started today in the lead. Larry Nelson may not be the highest profile rookie on the senior tour this year. That title probably goes to Johnny Miller, but Nelson may have a bigger impact than any other golfer who turned 50 this year. Larry Nelson's career, as you may know, includes 3 major championships, 2 PGA titles, and the 1983 U.S. Open that he won at Oakmont, headlined by this memorable 60-foot putt. I sat down with Larry earlier this week to talk about life as a golfer, now that he's 50. Larry, now that you've been through 1 full week and most of a second week, what is the biggest difference from the senior tour, from the PGA tour for you?
For me, it's just kind of a big adjustment. I mean, it is an adjustment, and that's kind of unusual for someone to say if they've been playing this game or playing competitively for 25 years. But, you know, we're in new cities, new golf courses, new restaurants. It's just, that has been the biggest adjustment. And I think also my expectations. I think I've put a lot of pressure on myself to play better than what I've played the last 4 competitive senior tour rounds.
You served in Vietnam. Had you played any golf before your tour of duty?
I played 1 round on a par 56 golf course prior to going over or going into the military. And actually stationed with a guy over in Vietnam that got me interested in playing golf. And when I came back, I kind of went at it. My wife bought me a set of clubs in December 1969 and started playing that spring.
Did you come away with Vietnam, come back from Vietnam, a different person with different temperament and different understandings of the day-to-day, I guess, tribulations that life brings?
Yeah, somebody asked me if I was happy about turning 50, and I told them, yeah, I was really happy about turning 22, because there were times when I was 21 that I didn't know that I would make it to 22. So it gives you a really good outlook. I mean, every day is a day that you know, you can use for something, because there were a lot of my friends that didn't make it to 22.
Then we have Ben Hogan's 5 Lessons, the Modern Fundamentals of Golf. How true is the story that this is how you learn to play golf?
Well, that is true. I have people ask me, did I ever take a lesson? And I never really took a lesson as if someone said, well, you need to do this or you need to do that. And so I started reading the book, and it seemed interesting to me, and I really tried to apply his fundamentals to my golf swing. I didn't try to swing like Ben Hogan. I just tried to apply his fundamentals. And I think that's what everybody should do. Everybody should learn the 4 or 5 basic fundamentals of the golf swing, and because these are the things that are fundamental to every great player's golf swing. So if you can incorporate those in your own swing, you can improve.
Your record in majors, winning 3 majors, is there a part of you that feels that you have not earned or not received the respect that you earned from being in that elite group of having won 3 majors?
Well, in retrospect, turning 50, it's been a lot more. I've had a lot more accolades, or a lot more
attention.
Yeah. By turning 50, and I ever did by winning any one of the 3 majors that I won. Which, you know, it's. I think I really do, because I've talked to some other people about this. I really feel like that golf was in kind of a slump, doldrums, or whatever in the mid '80s, and that's when I played my best golf from 1979 through really 1987. I think had I done the same thing in the 90s that I did in the 80s, I think I would have probably got what some people feel was my just due.
Larry Nelson tied for 16th last week in the Boone Valley Classic in Augusta, Missouri. This is his 2nd event. He's now 2 behind Buddy Allen's lead. Great Ryder Cup record, 9-3-1. Larry Nelson on the senior tour. Steve Melton.
Moments ago, David Graham's 3rd shot at the par 5. Very handy. Excellent play. David this week averaging over 300 yards off the tee, so Either he's gotten stronger as he's gotten older, the shafts have gotten better, or the balls are hotter. And now Gil Morgan for his birdie at the par 5. So it's been a struggling kind of day for Dr. Gil, but he said on the practice tee this morning, candidly, he was not playing as well as he might like. Yes, he'd like to catch Hale Irwin, but this might not be the week. And now Graham, 2 shots out of the lead. Bud Allen right behind him. Bud can watch everything that David is doing. This is for birdie, this par 5. So Graham pulls within 1, takes advantage of his length here at the par 5. As we look at Bud Allen now with a 1-shot lead over Graham. Nelson 2 back. And back in the fairway, Bud Allen will be next to play.
Buddy has 210 yards to the hole. About 200 to the front edge. Should keep it a little left here. The hole cut just over the bunker. You're coming in with a long shot. It's kind of hard to stop it.
Oh, if he carries just a couple of steps more, he's perfect. Same bunker that David Graham found just moments ago. But he's held together pretty well. Nerves have been very good.
Well, Steve, while we have a moment, just want to remind the golf fans that there's some great golf viewing ahead on ESPN this fall. The new 1997 series of Shell's Wonderful World of Golf. Look at the great names that will be battling in some exotic and beautiful locations. The new series begins the Tuesday after the Ryder Cup, just 9 days away. 2 of golf's greatest legends take to the links in Spain. Tom Kite against Seve Ballesteros. Next Tuesday on ESPN, Steve.
Big second shot for Raymond here.
That was from 185 after a 305-yard drive. That's got to get up, I think. A little unlucky there. That ball had hooked another 2 or 3 yards, had been stiff.
In the right-hand bunker there in your screen. Raymond has been aggressive on these short par 4s and shortest par 5s, but hasn't taken advantage of it. Now the straight man, Larry Nelson.
Larry has 190 yards. Raymond shot first.
It's a beauty. So Larry Nelson sets himself up with an eagle opportunity here at this par 5 as we move up ahead to the par 3, 13th.
David Graham on the tee.
Hole in the front portion of the green today measures 165 yards.
That was a punchy 7 and just the right distance.
Well, our story has changed a bit here this afternoon. David Graham, not in the last group, has moved into second place. Chasing Bud Allen, Larry Nelson is 2 under par through his first 11 holes. David Graham 4 under through his first 12, but Bud Allen has been steady. He birdied 4 of the first 6. He stayed hot, leads by 1 at the Comfort Classic.
Moments ago, Raymond Floyd's 3rd shot at the par 5. You talk about how well he pitches around the green. Well, his bunker play is the equal of the rest of his short game. Great hands. Raymond picks the club up abruptly, quickly gets the club head under the ball. And after Floyd's bunker shot, Bud Allen was next to play. Remember the second shot right at the flagstick, hit just short. Left himself in great position here. And nicely played as well. So no evidence of nerves for Bud Allen with only 1 win on the senior tour. And now Larry Nelson with an eagle opportunity could, at least for the moment, tie for the lead. Solidly played. That 2-putt birdie pulls him to 13 under, just a shot back. And this good play, a surprise to none of us who have watched him play. We know what he's capable of doing. He sort of has a single-mindedness of purpose on the golf course. As we move up ahead to 13.
David Graham for a birdie.
The ball right in the bottom of a swale. Putt goes up to the hole.
Oh. Well, it's a good putt. I mean, it's always very frustrating when you leave him that close, short to the 12th.
A must make for Raymond. So Raymond Floyd moves to 12 under. He's 2 back. And finally, it will be Mr. Allen.
This putt, Steve, might tell a little more about Buddy's nerves. It's downhill and right to left. I think those are the toughest ones in the world to make when your nerves are a little twitchy.
If they're good, you'll diet in. If you're not putting good, you hope to catch any part of the hole, and it's usually going to be traveling pretty fast. Yes. Rossi, they must be holding up pretty well.
Oh, that's he's played beautifully today. I'm really proud of him.
And we will return with more final round coverage of the Comfort Classic after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Bud Allen on the 13th tee.
Only one place you don't want to miss here, and that's long left.
Well, he's got a 6-iron, and I fancy he's pulled it a bit, Bob.
Yeah, that's going to be long left.
Yeah, well, it's in the middle of the bunker. It doesn't look too bad. To David Graham at the 14th.
2 off the lead.
Very probable breachable. Par 4 for David.
Over. Uh-oh. Okay.
This hole was downwind and drivable earlier in the week.
Man, I kicked right.
That bunker sits there and just waits to collect tee shots that are a bit short. Hole location today is back right. Let's go back to 13.
And Larry Nelson's tee shot. Seven-iron.
Keep turning in here.
Yeah, beautifully played. This is the last pop at the Audi special here, the A8, which has everything that opens and shuts on it. And it can almost make you a pot of tea in the mornings, but it really is a crackerjack. And this is the last opportunity, Raymond. That's all you need is a motor car to complete your dreams. Seven-iron.
He likes it.
Oh, he doesn't now. Oh, just drifted into the bunker there. Just did that. To the 14th.
Bob Murphy. After a birdie on 10, Murphy bogeyed 11 and 12. It's the favorable side of the fairway on this short par 4, as you see why now, as you see the hole location in the back right. Well, short holes here, a short hole's hard to come by when we join you next on ABC Sports for golf coverage with the Tour Championship, Champions Golf Course in Houston, Texas. The top 30 PGA Tour money winners will be there, and that will obviously include the man who's #1 on that list, Tiger Woods. Extended coverage, huge purse, $3 million on the line. We're with you Thursday, Friday on ESPN. Over the weekend, the last official PGA Tour event of the year, the Tour Championship. See it here on ABC Sports. Turn 3.
the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. On the other side of the grandstand to number 13. Peter?
Yes, and there you see how close the green is to the very edge of the arena. 13th tucked in right in the corner, the 14th going way out again, and Buddy Allen, I've always known him as Buddy Allen, playing from the sand.
Has a decent lie, as you mentioned, Peter, and just has to barely get it out of the bunker and it'll roll right to the hole. Severely downhill.
Boy, that did go fast down there, Bob. I thought that was actually stone dead when it started off.
Yeah, it went about 7 feet by, Peter.
Yeah. Just in that one little bunker there. There's the 14th tee up in the top left, and the 14th stretching away to the right into the distance. Quite a remarkable set of views we're getting from the blimp today, with the racetrack where so much motoring history has been completed. Floyd from t'other side. Well, he got a little bit too much grip on his. Buddy could have done with a bit of that stop that Raymond got. So both of them with work to do for their pars at this 13th hole. And as I say, 13 lucky for some. It could be for Larry Nelson if he could pop this one in. That's how they stand. You see, we could have a two-shot swing here if Nelson holds and both Allen and Floyd miss. J.C. Sneather, 63 today. A beautiful round of golf from Jesse. Simon Hobday ends up with a 70 after kicking off with that beautiful round that made him the first day leader. Now Nelson for a 2.
Very straightforward putt.
Ooh, just curved right across the face of the hole. And well, wasn't to be. To the 16th.
Graham Marsh, the current United States Senior Open champion. This is for birdie. This to move to 10 under par. And 6 under par on his round today, so Swampy has got it going. Classy guy. Back at 13.
Now we've got a couple of big putts coming up here, but not more so than this for Bud Allen. He's 2 ahead at this moment. This would keep him 2 ahead. His stroke actually looks nice and smooth, Bob, as far as the rhythm goes. You know, he manages to keep the putter going smooth, but let's just see if there's any movement of the head here. Oh, well, seems to be all right, Bob. Did you get a view of that?
Well, he knew he'd miss as soon as he hit it. It's one of the few bad ones he's hit, though, Peter.
To the 14th.
David Graham in the bunker.
He didn't get particularly lucky in this bunker either. The ball is quite close to the face of the bunker. Only about a foot of room, maybe 14 inches at the most. I don't think it's impossible to get the ball out of the bunker, but it's going to be very difficult to get it up that quickly and hit it all the way back to the hole. He's looked at the option of maybe hitting the ball out more to the right of the hole, but there's really not room for him to take a stance and do that. It requires really opening the blade and really swinging hard at this bunker shot.
As he ponders, back to 13.
Floyd for a par. Now you'll have watched the run of Allen's, and he's got it. So Nelson and Graham at 13, Floyd at 12. The leader still Buddy Allen, even though he dropped a stroke there. 1 ahead of the pack. But they're snapping at his heels now. Back to the trials and tribulations of David Graham. It looks as if he's got one of those road hole bunkers at St Andrews shots to play. Up to the 14th.
It really does, Peter. Some of the different features of this Pete Dye design golf course, and factor in the wind that we had that turned 180 degrees from Friday to Saturday, the lack of wind that we have here today on Sunday, and many of these holes have played completely different each day.
Well, he's certainly taking a long time pondering this shot. I don't know. I remember reading somewhere that play shall be without undue delay, and they seems to be making a tremendous meal of this shot.
Judy, did he let Gil Morgan play?
Gil Morgan did play up some 8 or 9 feet left of the hole. I'm not so sure that Gil wasn't actually away.
This is one of those, as you were saying, Judy, it's open the face and you smash it as hard as you can and sort of bury the club in the ground, and you try and continue the club face going down and down and down into the ground. But he's obviously very concerned that he can't get enough elevation on it.
Well, I agree with you. The through swing is not important. It's important that he hit into the sand behind the ball with a lot of force. I think he has to just accept the fact that he might hit the ball a little bit to the right of the line that he would like to play and leave himself 30 feet.
And he's aimed that way.
Most importantly, get it up quickly.
I think he went at that at a bit of a half-hearted way, because that really wasn't a full-blooded smash. I've seen so often shots out of those classic bunkers at St Andrews and other links courses in the UK. He just decelerated. I don't know. He didn't seem to really take a massive swing and really thump it. Broke the wrist early. And you'll see it was almost quietening down to just a little dab at it instead of a real thrust. It was almost as if he was maybe afraid of the ball coming off the face and hitting him, thereby incurring a penalty shot. But that's a cruel blow there for David Graham.
Well, and it really was a bad piece of luck, because the ball could go a lot of places in the bunker and at least leave you a place where you could comfortably put the ball on the green.
Yeah.
So now the last group has arrived at the 14th tee, and they are watching what's going on up at the green and waiting.
Well, David Graham has never been known as a very quick player. It's a sort of tortoise and the hare. He would have to stand on the side of the tortoises. So now he's got much to ponder as well. There's the situation. See the kidney-shaped green and the bunkers on the left. Bunker on the left that David did not escape from. But a good one now and a putt, and all will be well.
If he can carry this ball to about 15, 18 feet short of the hole, the slope will then take the ball right on down to the hole.
Well, not a bad second play out of the bunker for David Graham, so he has that putt for a par to stay within one of our leader, Bud Allen. Drama on the 14th, where the last group waits. We'll show you how they do off the tee when you come back to the Comfort Classic. So welcome back to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. In the background there is turn 3 in the Brickyard Crossing Golf Club, partially inside the oval, and then 14 holes outside the 2.5-mile Speedway Oval. Very exciting finish to the 1997 Comfort Classic. Bud Allen leads Larry Nelson and David Graham by 1. Raymond Floyd is 2 back. David has found some trouble here on the very short 311-yard par 4 14th. After 2 in the bunker, he's looking at a par putt to stay within one of the lead.
Looks like a full 6 feet to me, maybe just a tad longer. Right edge or just outside the right edge.
David was in the last group, as I mentioned, last week at Boone Valley, battling Hale Irwin, who eventually won the tournament. David Graham had the lead at the turn, but played the last 8 holes in 3 over par. Hale Irwin made a charge with a birdie at 12 and 13 and went on to win. Well, this is playing the second easiest hole on the golf course today, so many players are walking away with a birdie, but David Graham happy to take a 4 after what he was dealing with off the tee. He remains one behind Bud Allen. Now Bob Murphy, his par putt. Bob, where he started the day at 7 under. 311 yards back to the tee.
Wind out of the left, not helping as much as it has the first 2 days.
Oh, stay short.
That won't be too bad a spot there. I think you'll be able to get enough club under the ball there to stop it.
See many players take that route as we look at Raymond Floyd. Other players we've seen just go toward the right side of the fairway and try to have the better angle for their second shot.
That's as hard a swing as I've seen Raymond take for quite a while.
Nice shot, Raymond.
Right on the very edge of the putting surface.
That will be a putt of 90 feet right there.
Now our leader.
Don't think Buddy can get it to this green.
Good shot.
That's a beautiful drive, though. About 10 yards short.
Bud Allen, who's made a birdie at this hole earlier this week, also a par. Coming off the bogey at 13. He's had an interesting round today, just 4 pars through his first 13 holes. Bud Allen leads by 1. He's looking for his second victory of the year. Earlier, Steve had a chance to visit with him.
Now, Bud, most golfers have 1, maybe 2 swing thoughts a day. Now, I hear a rumor you've got more than 1 swing thought in a round.
Oh, yeah. Yesterday, I got through one of my first rounds this year that I would just use 1 thought all day long. But sometimes I change, I'll change thoughts on every swing. If I'm playing bad, I'll try something different on every swing.
Well, whatever thought he had early on in the round yesterday, obviously stuck with it for good reason. Birdies on 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And that got Bud Allen into contention here at the Comfort Classic. Peter, let's take a look at his swing.
Well, a small man, almost a frail man, looks to give himself plenty of room, stands well away from the ball, big turn, but of course being relatively short he can't get much height. But look, he reaches up with that left arm of his, tries to get as much width as he possibly can, club face a little bit open at the top, drives down nicely with the legs, head still. Now the right arm will straighten him. Look at that left hip out the way, really cracks the hands in, hits the ball right up the backside, and away it goes. And for a small man, a very lightweight, he sort of shifts the ball along pretty well. You see that long follow through. He's keeping things going very, very well today. I wish him well.
We showed you the great first year he had on the senior tour, making $585,000, finished 17th on the money list. Well, our leader, Bud Allen, played 35 events last year and made $365,000. That was 37th on the money tour list. Dave Stockton, he's 8 under par for the tournament. Let's go to 15.
Hi, Mike. This is the birdie putt for Dave Stockton at this 520-yard par 5. The first day, only 1 or 2 players able to reach the green in 2. Yesterday, everybody reached it as it was straight downwind. And today, everyone's had a shot at it. Dave found the greenside bunker to the right, played out to here. And Stockton, with 14 senior tour victories, 1 earlier this year, will have that for his par.
Roger, a reminder, ABC Sports College Football, America's biggest road show, continues with a doubleheader next week. There's your regional action. Check your local listings. That will be except on the West Coast, including that big one down there in the Big 12. Then everyone across the country will see Notre Dame, under 500 for the first time in 11 years, take on undefeated Michigan. Then on the West Coast only, 4 p.m. Pacific, Southern California. Will the Trojans get going? They take on Cal. Check your local listing for the games in your area and call your cable operator for information on games that are available on pay-per-view as well. ABC Sports College Football on Saturday. Back at 14. A leader by 1, Bud Allen will play first.
Got a couple of choices how to play this shot. He could pitch it up over this hump that comes in from the left, but I think he's going to try and pitch it into the hump and let it crawl down to the hole. It's a little easier shot. If you play it badly, you probably get it 10 feet. The other shot, if you happen to hit it, you could leave yourself 30 feet.
Peter, I thought Pete Dye made an interesting comment on this hole. I'll leave it up to the players to decide if it's a good or a bad hole. And you can see why, as we've seen what's happened to the last 2 groups play this hole.
Yes, of course, there's some classic par 4s around about 300-odd yards in the world of golf. That'll do.
I think he chose the right way, Peter.
That'll do. I'm reminded of those 2 holes at Cypress Point, round about the 7th, 8th, 8th, 9th, both under 300 yards that are absolute little gems.
Bud Allen in position for what would be his 8th birdie today. Now Larry Nelson.
Larry got the ball onto the upslope. It is in the rough. He's not going to be able to spin it much, but I think he can really throw it up in the air, land it just on the green. That's quite a bit of room.
Coming back for Larry, as Raymond Floyd has a lengthy putt for eagle here on 14. We'll be back to see how he does with that as we continue from the Comfort Classic, where Bud Allen leads Nelson and Graham by 1 and Floyd 2 behind. Just a moment ago, Raymond Floyd looking for his 3rd eagle of the tournament and a share of the lead. Not bad considering the length. Floyd has made just 1 bogey thus far in this tournament. It was just a couple of holes ago. Now important putt for Larry Nelson is for birdie.
Larry.
Looks like he's waiting while the action goes on over at 15 on the tee. Roger?
That's Bob Murphy. And of course, Mike, this par 5 being reached in 2 by most of the players today. Yesterday, a lot of the players downwind using 3-wood, just short irons, 8-9 irons coming in, as there were 7 eagles at the 15th hole yesterday. Just a little bit of a jam up because you can reach, of course, 14 off the tee, and then at 15 as we go back to the 14th now.
And here is Nelson's birdie putt. So he'll remain at 13 under, but remember, Bud Allen in there close with an opportunity to get to 15 under par. About 40% of the field has made a 3 at this par 4 this afternoon. Now Floyd for a 2-putt birdie. Looking for career victory 36. So the 4 players at the top of the leaderboard, we've seen 3 players par the second easiest hole on the course today, to 15.
This is Jim Dent for Eagle. This to get him to 13 under and 1 shot behind the lead of Bud Allen. Jim Dent as we go back to 14.
Dent 2 behind Bud Allen. Well, those 4 players, 3 pars at 14, and Bud Allen makes the birdie. Mark that as what could be a turning point in this golf tournament. Bud Allen leads by 2.
Well, Dent with just a mid-iron into this green. The speed was excellent. A right-to-left break and moving right in. And that gets Jim Dent to 13 under, 7 under on his round today. As Bud Allen with a 2-shot lead, and we'll return with more final round coverage of the Comfort Classic after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Off the birdie at 14, Bud Allen's lead is 2. Nelson, Graham, Dent, and Floyd all parred number 14, but the Eagle at 15 getting Jim Dent within 2. John Jacobs has had a good day as well. Saw John at 10 under, 6 under on today's round. Let's go to 15.
Bob Murphy, his second shot at the par 5.
207 back to the hole. The hole is 37 yards deep in this green today. Really playing like a healthy par 4.
Murphy rounds of 68, 69, and look at this golf shot by Bob Murphy. Now, when we saw the graphic earlier about the NCAA champion, I didn't mention that was at the University of Florida. We've already heard enough about them from Steve Melnick this week.
You can't hear enough about that.
David Graham will play next.
Another good tee shot for David. 194 back to the hole. The breeze is just helping and coming from the right. Couldn't have to hit much more than a 5-iron.
Boy, what a beautiful shot. Look at those 2 golf shots by Bob Murphy and David Graham. Both of those putts will be for Eagle. And as we go back to the tee at 15, this 520-yard par 5, you look down at the work that Pete Dye did here. This was a flat piece of land. He moved 1.5 million cubic yards of dirt to create this. All the mounds and the undulations. Bud Allen on the tee. Basically just aiming off that big power line structure down the right center. I'll tell you, Rossi, he's hit a lot of fairways, hasn't he?
Oh, he really is driving the ball beautifully. He really has not hit that one bad iron at 13, and that's about it.
Now Raymond Floyd. Raymond has just torn up the par 5s here this week. Birdied all the par 5s yesterday. He is 9 under on the par 5s as he moves here to 15, the final of the 4-5 pars at this Brickyard Crossing Golf Club, a par 72 that measures about 6,600 yards. Now Larry Nelson. Tee shot by Nelson, hugging the right side of the fairway. So look at those, all in a line there. Final group of Nelson, Allen, and Floyd. Well, Bud Allen is right now 31st on the Senior PGA Tour money list. And how the Senior Tour has grown. Look at the evolution from 1990 when Ben Smith was number 31. Of course, that is the key to get you exempt for next year. On down to what it's estimated it will take this year to be number 31, $510,000. So an increase of over $300,000, 127% in total purses, and that's a 153% increase in the 31st place money. So Bud Allen is going to move well past that 31 today, as he is in line to possibly win this tournament, as he's got the lead at 15 under par as we go to 16.
Well, Jim Dent on the tee. Jim's got to be careful. He really can drive it through this fairway. It's downwind. You don't want to hit it left. I'm really surprised that he took a wood off the tee, and he has just through the right side of the fairway. Well, that is a 1920 Stutz, and if you're a, I guess so, a Georgia Bulldog fan, you sort of take fancy to that red and black motif. That is one gorgeous automobile. This on loan from the museum, from the adjacent Indy Museum. It's a wonderful collection of antique cars and race cars as we go out to 15.
Third shot for Gil Morgan.
Well, you can see it taking the break off that big hump up above the hole. Miss the greens with this grade of undulation, and you come up with some pretty funny shots to play.
See, Gil just 1 under on his round today, but what a year he is having. Second on the money list, 4 victories, $1.4 million in earnings. 4 players currently over $1 million in earnings on the Senior Tour. Let's go to 18.
At the finishing hole, Graham Marsh for par in a round of 67. Nice finish for the Senior Open champ here in the United States. 5th on the money list. He'll protect that spot. 13th top 10 finish of the year, perhaps. Back to 15.
Well, a couple of beautiful golf shots by Bob Murphy and David Graham, and you see Graham at 13 under will have a short putt for eagle. Down the leaderboard, Gil Morgan, you see there at 8 under par, that round of 9 under 63 by J.C. Snead earlier today. Jimmy Powell, the man who is the defending champion here, 63 years old, he just keeps cruising along, plays some beautiful golf. As we move from that vintage car, well, I guess these are vintage golfers in a way, over the age of 50. But this is one of the young Lions on the Senior Tour. Gil Morgan is for birdie. It's been one of those days for Dr. Gil Morgan. Hasn't been able to make anything happen. Has to settle for his par 5. As he remains at 8. Absolutely gorgeous day here in Indianapolis. And the eagle putt for Bob Murphy.
I don't think it should do a lot right or left, but it does come off the slope and should be pretty quick.
And Bob Murphy gets the 2 under on his round today, and 9 under for the tournament. Now, this short putt for eagle for David Graham. This would get him to 15 under and a share of the lead with Bud Allen. Graham this year 7th on the money list, a couple of victories, over $900,000 in earnings. Five birdies and 1 bogey so far today. David Graham with the eagle at 15 and co-leader with Bud Allen, who is waiting to play this 520-yard par 5. He's already hit his tee shot. As we move from above down to the ground here at the Brickyard Crossing Golf Club.
Larry Nelson has 210 yards to the hole. Probably just a nice 4-iron, slight downslope.
And that'll just find the short rough behind the green. But Allen will play next.
Buddy has 205 yards. Same type of lie. A little hard to get a long iron up in the air off the down slope and with the wind.
Just can't quite get it up onto that final level, and it'll drift back down into that swale as we go to 16.
Jim Dent began the day at 6 under par, 3 under on the front, 4 under back here. This is his second shot at 16. He likes it. Oh, very nice indeed. So Jim Dent suddenly played himself in terrific shape. He's at 13 under par, just 2 back as we go to 15.
Ray Floyd, second shot.
That was from 195.
Oh, he got the bounce that time. Raymond Floyd nestles it in there. And Floyd will have that putt for eagle to get within 1 of our co-leaders, David Graham and Bud Allen, in the final round of the Comfort Classic.
It is a fast closing Jim Dent, this to go 8 under par on his round today. Ooh, boy, just burned the top edge. To 15.
Well, Larry Nelson surveying this shot from just off the green at the par 5.
Really a pretty easy little shot. It has an uphill lie. Should be able to loft it up there. It's not real severe around the hole.
Nelson 2 back of our leaders at 13 under. That sort of jumped on him a little bit. Round is 7 under 65 yesterday as we go to 16.
David Graham going with an iron from the tee.
Right down the right side. The hole is not going to play long today. That should be fine.
Judy, he's hitting the ball a long way. To 18.
At the finishing hole, Chichi Rodriguez. The putter barely makes it above his kneecap. Hit a great wood into this 18th green. But a par for Chichi, even par round to 72, as you saw. 4 under.
18th green.
He's all ready for the Wouldn't be a saber dance, sword, now a pocket knife. Back to 15.
Now, big gallery around this green at the par 5. And the eagle putt coming for our co-leader, Bud Allen.
This one is really going to swing. Hard time believing how much this will break.
Rossi, similar to the tip you gave earlier today.
You just can't play it high enough, Roger. You just can't do it.
So Bud will have that left for birdie at the par 5. Some good galleries here all week. This is a terrific venue with the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. This golf course on the property, daily fee course, beautifully conditioned. As Raymond Floyd now with this putt for eagle. This would move him to within 1 of our co-leaders. As I mentioned a bit ago, he is 9 under par so far on the par 5s this week, and earlier today with eagle at the 6th hole. Rossi, you said about a 50-foot putt he made?
Yeah, he made a big one there. That one really got him back in the game. Kind of got the juices flowing again.
Now this one would get him right back in the game again.
Oh, I hit it where I looked.
He'll tap that in for his birdie as we go to 16.
David Graham's second shot.
148 yards, the breeze at his back. And a lot of that yardage is on the green.
Left in a good spot. Graham tied with Allen, with Bud with a short birdie 2-putt at the 15th. And we go there now.
Well, this is such a big putt right now for Bud Allen. This is for birdie, a 1-shot lead. Right in the center of the cup. So Bud Allen, the birdie at 15, and he moves to 16 under par, 7 under on his round today, and a 1-shot lead for the moment over David Graham, as Larry Nelson now lines this putt up. This for birdie. Just to get him to 14 under. So birdies all around by this final group, and it's been a seesaw battle, but right now, that man, Bud Allen, with a 1-shot lead in the final round of the Comfort Classic.
Well, the leaderboard looks like this. Bud Allen with a 1-shot lead over David Graham, 2 over Larry Nelson. Bud set to play here at 16.
Boy, buddy.
Boy, he is swinging confidently. He is putting confidently. This is not what you'd expect, given what Bud has even said about himself, that he's normally not the kind of person that likes being in the lead. It doesn't have a lot of confidence in himself. He has made 9 birdies, I guess, by our count, in his round today. 2 bogeys, 7 under par in his round, and all while he has been at the lead. And now Floyd.
This one's way right.
Well, he went with a 3-wood as well.
The first day, Raymond bounced one off of somebody's head out here, and it bounced about 30 yards to the left and about 60 yards ahead. Unbelievable.
David Graham to move into a tie for the lead.
Hit an iron off the tee for safety's sake and just had to come into the green with a 9-iron.
Hang on. To 17.
Jim Dent on the tee. Jim Dent 7 under today, 13 under altogether. 6-iron. Interesting shot from Big Jim. Big Jim strolls up, and we'll return with more final round coverage of the Comfort Classic after this message and a word from our ABC station.
Well, it was known as the Speedway Country Club. 18 holes with 9 holes inside the 2.5-mile oval when it opened back in 1928. Tony George got Pete Dye to redesign this beautiful golf course, and the views have come from the MetLife Blimp. Snoopy 1 today. Snoopy 1 and Snoopy 2 have covered over 80 televised events this year. Look to the skies for Snoopy and the MetLife Blimp, from which we look down at the 16th.
As we look at the man who leads the tour in combined winnings for both senior and regular tour, his second shot here at 16.
Hit a sort of a balloon 3-wood up there, Steve. It didn't go very far. He has 170 yards. Decent lie. Still has to bounce it well. Wants to carry it about 150, 155. Yeah, it came out a little hotter than he thought. That's a good shot.
Well, Raymond's got to birdie the last 3 holes to have a chance. To 17.
Jim Dent for a 32. Well, the old right shoulder came in a little bit early. Should be okay for a par 3, so that'll leave Jim with a 4 at the last for about the 65, and that's taken him right up the leaderboard. If he can do that, he should finish round about 4th or 5th, something like that. That's good play today. Back to the 16th.
Now, Bud Allen, second shot.
130 yards, ball above his feet. Nice lie, though. A lot of room out to the right.
Boy, he has been solid making his way to the house as Bud Allen. You'd never think that he's only won once out here. It has been a marvelous display today. 9 birdies in his round thus far as we go to Larry Nelson.
Larry's from 120 yards. Has to make 3 here. And the great thing about Buddy Allen's round is he's done it against some of the best players out here. With them chasing him.
It's not like he came from the back of the pack, is it? Big difference. Playing at or near the lead and coming from well back. Okay. So Nelson with an opportunity. Bud Allen once again with a very makeable birdie putt. Larry Nelson trying to win in only his 2nd senior tour event. Up ahead to 18.
417-yard par 4 finishing hole. Here is Dave Stockton, second. David 2 under on today's round. Right now tied with Dana Quigley for 14th place. Very nice shot. Hole location back right today. Water running down the right-hand side of the 18th hole. Be interesting finish here this afternoon. Tonight on ABC, here's our primetime lineup. It starts with America's Funniest Home Videos. Then Barbara Walters talks with George Clooney, Harrison Ford, and Drew Barrymore. Great Barbara Walters special. Then Baywatch's Yasmin Bleeth stars in the world premiere of Crowned and Dangerous. Home videos, Barbara Walters, Crowned and Dangerous, tonight on ABC. Back to 17.
David Graham on the tee. 6 iron. Oh, beauty. 180 yards is 17th hole, 179 exact measure, but say 180. That's a nice punchy 6 iron. Very good shot from David Graham. And we slip across to the 16th.
On this perfect day of golf, players have done what you might expect good players to do. We have seen red scores litter the top of the leaderboard. Perhaps no more impressive than Rossi said than to watch the play of Bud Allen. 7 under par on his round. He enjoys a 1-shot lead as Raymond Floyd is set to putt for birdie. Well, Raymond actually took some time away from the game back in August, caddied for his son Robert in the U.S. Amateur at Cog Hill. Robert was defeated in the 3rd round of match play. Robert is now turned pro. Played this week out in San Antonio. He will make his way to the Q School this fall. Hard putt to read. Big swing from the left. It breaks a lot in the middle part of the putt, flattens out at the end. Well, it's just been that kind of day for Raymond. He has been all over the hole and can't convert, as he remains 3 back of the lead. But Raymond not content just to have a nice finish. And it remains for Larry Nelson now to put some pressure on Bud Allen.
Any chance Larry has of winning, he's got to make this putt.
Yes, there it is. Winner of the U.S. Open, twice the winner of the PGA. Great Ryder Cup record has marked the career of Larry Nelson, a man who took up the game, as he told Mike Tirico at age 20. Red Hogan's 5 fundamentals and is self-taught, and there's not a classier guy in golf than Larry Nelson. And now Bud Allen. The lead now 1. Can he make it 2?
He saw the line. No reason he shouldn't make it now.
Ooh, he looked as though he thought he made it when he hit it. Just lost speed. So Bud Allen now with a thin 1-shot lead over both David Graham and Larry Nelson, as they make their way to the devilish little par 3 17th. There you see it, Allen with that 1-shot lead. And the rest of this star-studded field, you look down there and you see Dave Stockton at 7 under par through 17 holes. And let's go to 18 now.
See if David can finish with a birdie in a round of 69. Get him to 8 under. So Dave Stockton, tied for 11th right now. Good round of 69. 10th on the money list this year. After a slow start, David has come back quite nice. Back to 17.
David Graham now at the 17th, the devilish short hole. It's for a 2.
The putt actually goes back uphill. It's going to start out moving to his right. When it dies, it'll come back to the left.
Oh, well now, I wasn't quite ready, sir. I'm sorry about that. But that was very uncharacteristic, David Graham. Oh, there's a beauty. Now, that's a bit special. A 1929 Packard. Isn't that a beauty? There's a wonderful museum here, some what, 300 cars or so, and if you're ever in this neck of the woods, it only costs sort of $2 to go in. And it really is a delight. Look at that wonderful front end, the radiator, and those huge lights, and the running board on the side. And if you look just closely, maybe Al Capone sitting in the back seat. Gil Morgan now for a birdie at the 17th. And he's got one at last. That puts him 2 under today. 9 under for the tournament. Just that thing slipped through his fingers a bit today. But if he gets a par at the last, it'll be a final round of 70. David Graham really didn't strike his with any great conviction, and that's very rare for a man of his great talent. Again, not a big physique, but hits the ball a long way and really does putt quite beautifully. So a chance missed, you have to say. David Graham remains tied for second place with Nelson, just 1 behind. Go to the 18th.
Jim Dent, who's had a very good day. 7 under as he plays the finishing hole. Slowly feeding this way. That turns out to be quite a nice shot. So if he can make that putt, Jim Dent will shoot 64 today. We already have the course record set today, 63 by J.C. Snead. Back to 17.
There's the tee shot and the last threesome out on the course. The green is clear, the wind is a bit frisky. And Nelson to play first. Now he's just debating whether to play 6, a 5, a 6, a 7. Wind's a little bit fresh, but no, perhaps it's died a little bit, if anything. A lot of players have been using the 6 irons here. Now he's gone to a 7.
Softly.
Yes.
All right.
It's all right, about 20 feet away.
Yes, that's right.
David Graham's through this hole, just playing the 18th, getting ready to play the 18th. Brad Allen 1 ahead in this final group.
The 2 bogeys that Bud has made today have both been at par 3s, Peter.
Yeah, that's right. He struck the ball very straight off the tee, Bob. He's really kept the ball, kept everything going beautifully. Looks very much in control of his own destiny here. Nice smooth swing. That was a 6. Is he looking anxiously? No need. Just the wrong side of the ridge, just falling off towards the edge of the green. Up to the 18th.
And Jim Dent for his birdie. And a round of 64. mentioned earlier in the week, Jim Dent won in Charlotte, the Home Depot Invitational this year. So a 7-under par round of 65. He stays tied for 4th. And on the tee at 18, one off the lead, David Graham.
Yeah.
That is long and perfect.
That's right where I am.
So David Graham in the fairway here at 18, a hole he has not birdied in the first 2 rounds this week. He is 1 behind Bud Allen, who is in the lead. So Graham, can he come up with a birdie on 18? Larry Nelson stayed right in the hunt, but Bud Allen has not wavered. His lead is 1. The Comfort Classic continues.
The Comfort Inn Classic. This ABC Sports exclusive brought to you by the more than 1,700 Comfort Inns and Suites worldwide. Audi and the daring all-new A6 coming this November. And National Car Rentals. So what are you waiting for? Let's go.
Well, we mentioned some of the cars at the Speedway Hall of Fame Museum that are out on the golf course today. That is a 1908 Mercedes race car. And at the turn of the century, you would rent a race car. You had to be pretty good and pretty rich, they tell us. You pick up the car at the factory and go racing someplace in Europe, and you bring it back. Hopefully you had to leave a deposit. 805 cubic inch 4-cylinder engine. Pretty special looking piece of machinery. To 17.
This is where Floyd hit his tee shot. This was recorded a minute ago from the sand, and he didn't make it. There's a rare sight. He tried to just flop it over the top and left it on the bank of the bunker. Now it's not so easy, is it, from there? There he is on the bank, 3rd shot. Well, a beautiful little chip, but that's a shot dropped at a very crucial moment. Up to the 18th.
After bogeys at 11 and 12, Bob Murphy with 7 under par has brought it back nice. At 10 under, this is 2nd.
From just inside of 150 yards.
Birdie putt would put Murphy alone in 6th place. Right now he's tied with John Jacobs at 10 under. Back to 17.
The putt that Buddy Allen has here is going to be very, very quick once it gets to the top of the hill and starts dropping down to the hole. Putt of about 35 feet.
Oh, what a beautiful putt. You must have thought for a moment it might have even dropped in the hole. Negotiated the hills very well there. Oh, Allen at 16 under, 1 ahead at the moment. Nelson and Graham. Graham's playing the 18th. Nelson next to play. This to tie. This to tie for the lead. With Allen still best part of a yard away. Online. Boy. for the 18th.
Big shot, David Graham second.
Good lie. Nice level stance. Just a little wedge from 115.
David Graham will have a chance to tie Bud Allen.
My old pool cue days. Yeah, we see we can make a putt. Yep, let's get that one. At least make him try and earn it somewhere. I'll be home soon, boss.
Well, maybe not. Maybe we'll have a playoff.
Thank you.
David Graham has made 6 birdies today. Started at 9 under, has a chance to get it to 16 under. Back to 17.
Allen for his par at the 17th hole to stay 1 ahead. There's no quivering there. Nicely struck. Could all come down to the last hole. Just 1 hole left, or will we go into extra time? It's between really Graham and Allen, unless something spectacular happens. Well, nothing much else can happen. Les Nelson, of course, might hold his second, or he might, all sorts of things, I suppose, are still on the cards. Somebody could get a 3, someone could take 5. So it's not all over yet.
Well, Peter, I know you've enjoyed the aerial views from the MetLife blimp this week, especially today on this glorious day. So good to have Snoopy 1, MetLife's aerial ambassador, with us about 1,200 feet above the Brickyard Crossing golf course this weekend. Well, tomorrow night, prime time on ABC, it is Time Cop. Time Cop goes back in time to track the world's first serial killer, Jack the Ripper. It's the series premiere of Time Cop, Monday. Check your local listings for the time in your area, either before or after Monday Night Football, when the Steelers visit Jacksonville. The Jaguars hosting their first ever Monday Night Football game. That's tomorrow, primetime, on ABC. On the tee at 18, Larry Nelson, 1 behind Bud Allen. Larry plays first.
Pretty impressive round of driving, I'll tell you that. Hadn't missed the middle of the fairway.
Twice as many bogeys as birdies today on 18. Here's the leader.
Uh-oh.
That one is not very good, although he did get a tremendous break. It kind of got up on a little tough to grass, really sitting up well, but he's going to have a really hard shot.
So the leader by 1 misses the fairway at 18. Now Raymond Floyd, who's 4 back. That is wet.
Raymond hit a lot of shots to the right today.
Into Little Eagle Creek. On the green at 18, Gil Morgan for birdie. So a good finish for Gil. Finishes birdie, 10 under par. Tied for 6th. Could be tied for 5th if Floyd makes a 6 here at 18. Number 2 on the money list will earn another good check this week. Hale Irwin, who leads the Senior PGA Tour money list, finished this tournament at 5 under in 21st place. Now David Graham. This putt to tie.
Beautiful stroke.
A round of 65, and David Graham tied with Bud Allen for the lead. Allen in the rough on the left-hand side of 18. Don't forget Larry Nelson in the fairway as well. David Graham's put the heat on. Find out what happens when we come back. After his drive found the water, Raymond Floyd's third at 18.
200 yards.
Disappointing day for Raymond. 3 under after 6 holes on today's round. It was even par since. Now Bud Allen second.
Buddy from 190 yards, ball slightly below his feet. Real jump and lie. Probably could hit a 7 iron. This ball's way to the left. If it catches the hill, it may get down on the side of the green.
On the back.
Got caught up in the thick grass, too much to feed down, and a very interesting shot left for Allen's third. Now 1 behind. Larry Nelson sitting in the middle of the fairway.
From 155 yards, beautiful angle. Shoot it right up along the water.
Sniff his third birdie in 4 holes. If it goes in, he tied David Graham. While we have a moment, here's Roger.
Well, Mike, thank you very much. With me is Rod Sibley, the Senior Vice President of Choice Hotels. And Rod, what a choice. This is some kind of golf tournament.
Well, this is a terrific finish. We've had a great golf tournament this week. This has been outstanding. The 1,400 Comfort Inn and Comfort Suites franchisees across the country are real pleased to be a part of this event. It's been terrific.
Rod, thank you much for your hospitality this week. We certainly enjoyed being here with you, and we're going to check on this fantastic finish coming up. Let's go back to Mike.
Okay, Roger, thank you. Brickyard Crossing Golf Club, wonderfully manicured. Players have raved about the condition. Peter, what goes through your mind at this point? You've played well. Every little jab you've answered back throughout the day, and now you find yourself in some trouble on the 18th and tied for the lead.
Well, obviously you'd be disappointed, but you've got to try and put that in the back of your mind. Remember, Bud Allen isn't a regular winner, never has been, although he's been a very good, steady, a very good professional player. And you don't get many opportunities when you play the game like he does to be in this position. But, you know, strange things happen. He can chip this in. He could take 3 or 4 to get down. All sorts of things can happen. But he knows that after all the good driving that he's been doing throughout the round, when he really needed to hit one straight, he didn't do it on the last hole. Raymond Floyd's had an example of that. We've seen from Ray a couple of times today as well. He pushed one there at the 18th into the water. So it doesn't just happen to sort of pros that aren't and haven't been used to the limelight for all that many years. It happens to a lot of people, but he's a very stuffy player. The thing here, though, Mike, he's got a very difficult shot. Humps and bumps in front of him in the rough. Doesn't look to be lying too badly. There's David Graham signing, and the score is 10th by the side of the 18th. He's played very well today. I don't know whether Bob's got over there to have a look, but it looks pretty awkward, Bob, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, as you said, Peter, the lie isn't too bad, but he's got one of the hardest shots you'll ever see. You know, just in a practice round, it would be hard to get this one up and down into, and under the circumstances, you got to be a little lucky here. You don't know how the ball's going to come out. It's going to go to the right, and then it's going to come down over that hump and be really quick.
And while he's surveying all this, of course, Larry Nelson is looking at a putt of maybe 18 feet, round about that sort of distance. And if he can hold it, he would tie with David Graham, who's safely in and completed his 3 rounds at 16 under par after 65 today.
As you can see, he's on the downslope also, and that just makes it doubly hard. Got to put a lot of weight on his left foot. Try and hit down on the ball.
Hang on.
Well, you saw there the way it galloped away once it got over the top of the hill. Looks very good when it was about halfway, didn't it, Mike? And then you see how it speeded up and sort of not all that far from going down in the hazard. May still be, no, it won't be his turn. Maybe Ray Floyd play next.
Well, how interesting this is for Larry Nelson, who earlier said this week that, well, his real goal for 1997 was to finish in the top 125 on the PGA Tour money list. Lower expectations on the senior tour, and now given an opportunity to maybe get in the playoff here. First Floyd is for his par.
Similar line to Nelson's putt. See the ball falls away considerably at the end.
A bogey for Floyd. When he taps in, it will be a round of 70. And alone in 5th place. Means Gil Morgan, Bob Murphy, and John Jacobs will tie for 6th. Coming up next on ABC, it is World News Tonight, Sunday. So stay tuned for the latest on what's happened around the world this weekend. Now Nelson to tie. As the co-leader Graham watches.
Well,
that close from being a part of a playoff, perhaps. Perhaps a 3-man playoff, perhaps just he and David Graham. But it lips out a round of 67, 5 under par for today. Larry Nelson's obviously best finish in his 2 senior starts, tied for 16th the first time out, 3rd alone this time, and so it has come to Bud Allen. Makes it. We go back to 18 for the playoff to begin. Doesn't make it. David Graham wins. Well, David Graham wins his 3rd senior tour event of 1997. His winningest season in his couple of years on the senior PGA Tour. First prize check, $157,500, largest amount of his career. He's now made $1.3 million on the senior tour. And the 6th player to go over $1 million in official earnings this year. Bud Allen now must make this to tie for 2nd with Larry Nelson.
This shows you what a cruel game it is if he should miss this, that he's played so very well in the cauldron of excitement, and then it all drifts away, or so much of it does, even if this goes in on the very final hole. Well done.
Bud Allen made back-to-back birdies 4 different times today, but a bogey on 18, a round of 66. He ties with Larry Nelson for 2nd, and David Graham, with a birdie on the finishing hole, wins the Comfort Classic by 1 stroke. We hope you enjoyed our broadcast from Indianapolis. Now with Peter Allis and our entire ABC Sports Golf team, Mike Tirico. So long from Indianapolis, where David Graham has won the Comfort Classic.
Tomorrow on ABC's Monday Night Football, the Steelers look to spoil the Jaguars' plans for another playoff season. The action starts tomorrow night at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. ABC Sports is online on AOL, keyword ABC Sports. Now stay tuned for your local news and world news tonight, Sunday. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports, recognized around the world as the leader in sports television.
Promotional consideration provided by National Car Rental, the official car rental company of ABC Sports.